Well, hello everybody. Welcome to another installment of Show to Be with Mike G, the show of life, the show of 9 Inch Nails, Korea, Qatar, the military, the Culinary Institute of America. Today's guest is the wonderful Jesse Torres of the Esquire Tavern in San Antonio. This is one of the multiple interviews coming up, mind you, yet to be released, that we sat down at the Brooklynite for an afternoon and had a great time getting to know one another. So I think you'll learn a lot about Jesse. He's really made a great mark in the San Antonio cocktail culture in a very short time, and the dude is just a true intellectual. It's great to talk about food, music, drinks, all of this stuff with Jesse. Without further ado, I hope you enjoy my interview with Jesse Torres.
Big inspiration for me that really got me into composing was 9 Inch Nails released The Fragile back in 99.
Yeah, which is a brilliantly symphonic record.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I never skipped school. Like, I was a really straight student in that regard because we were going to school on a military base.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I totally skipped school that day, went and bought this CD and
Double
listened to
album,
it all
too. It's a lot. It's a lot of records.
Great.
Yeah.
And I ended up taking 3 of the tracks from that album and composing it for a symphonic orchestra.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Which ones, if you remember?
It was Just Like You Imagined, Pilgrimage, and The Day the World Went Away.
Oh, man. Brilliant track.
And it was like a 3, movement suite.
Yeah.
And I, scored it all out and convinced my band director to let me,
conduct it, yeah,
with the band, and we did. It was great. It was a lot of fun.
It's insane because if they probably knew the history of did they know it's 9 Inch Nails?
Some people did, but
Yeah.
a lot of people didn't know, and they just liked it because they were.
It's musically appealing.
Yeah, especially like The Day the World Went Away was really beautiful. Like,
Yeah,
symphonically, it was really gorgeous.
Yeah, and like all the tremolo guitar kind of building off there's like a duality between two of the. What do they call guitarmonies, if you will, where it's like the tremolo picking. Really, really beautiful, and even the dissonance of that snare, like that snare ring. Mm-hmm. It's like so gross, but intentionally gross for some reason,
Yeah, well, Trent Reznor's always been a fan of dissonance and noise. He said that there's something strangely musical about noise.
Yeah,
and there really is.
It's
that
very
dissonance,
true.
that noise, that
tearing. It's a tearing sound. Almost the deconstruction of some of these sounds, like when you talk about his percussion especially. It's distorted, but it's broken and it's molecular. Like there's something very simple about it and very primal about a lot of this stuff.
And so by deconstructing his music, I got really into 20th century music and techniques and learning about dissonance and chords that are dissonant on purpose, and making these really weird arrangements and stuff like that.
Like Cage? John Cage, right? Is that the one incredibly dissonant, like almost intentionally being obnoxious?
And I loved music. It, and so I got into that. I got into more music theory. I ended up getting into recording, and actually, I didn't get into recording first. I got into sound engineering.
Oh yeah,
because there was a need.
Were you doing like live sound? Or?
Yeah, live sound. So I started off doing monitors.
Oh okay.
And I started
front of house mix stuff.
Yeah, so I did monitors, and I started, got onto bigger and bigger shows, and then I started doing front of the house mixes.
Yeah.
And that's how I just got into recording.
That's crazy.
And started building up equipment for a studio, which it's expensive. It's not cheap.
Yeah, it's expensive, dude. There are some good values in mics. Like even just coming back and saying, well, what mics would I use for a podcast? The simple Google query of which mics would you use for a podcast, and it's like. Some of them are like the MXL 900, I think's one, and that's like $100 or something. But
yeah, I remember when those first came out.
Good.
Like there was a lot of backlash. Oh, these are cheap mics made in China and all that. And
and it's fine. But
being what I really learned, I learned a very important lesson back then is maximizing what you have with little resources.
Sure.
And so when you buy something, it's going to be as good as you can get for what you can.
Absolutely.
So you can really maximize it. You're going to get a really good condenser mic that's got good range and can record a lot of different styles and different things. That way you can make the most out of it.
It's agile.
Agile.
Like a 57. Amazing mic.
Definitely
for $80.
had a couple 57s.
Snare, vocals, guitar, taunt, like anything you throw at that. It's a good bang for the buck. Oddly enough, barrel-proof whiskeys are a good bang for the buck because you get so much more. You get to kind of dilute it as you want.
Oh, of course, yeah. And so by learning that, you apply it to other things in the world, and it really set me up for a lot of different successes later on in life about just kind of being resourceful.
Yeah,
very resourceful.
Yeah, it's a brilliant way to put it. So, did you ever play live?
Yeah. So during this whole time, I was playing drums in bands.
Oh, cool, drums. Okay.
Yeah.
Was that your main?
Yeah, that ended up being my main instrument, and something I just really, after playing all these instruments, like drums just felt the best.
Yeah, you had a connection to it. With any particular drummers that you like? They kind of, you'd model your sound after?
When I was younger, Matt Cameron from Soundgarden was a huge influence on my drumming style.
Yeah. He's so off the wall, but it all works. Like weird time signatures, lots of just random tom rhythms and stuff. It's
a lot of different syncopation, great rhythm, great control, great dynamics.
And a cool dude.
Yeah,
I'd want to fucking hang out with Matt Cameron.
Yeah.
Totally would. Since, and I think he made his way into that. Because he is playing with Pearl Jam now.
Yeah. Now he does. I mean,
that's
mainly Pearl Jam's drummer, pretty much.
Which is amazing that he kind of went from that point of being in Soundgarden. Always keep him work for himself, which is a great thing. And there's some flies around here, so pardon me, everybody, if you hear a break in the vocal, which I'm swatting at flies because I have this primordial need to just fucking swat at these flies. But did the drumming thing take you to touring and making records and stuff like that?
When we were in high school, we had a pretty successful band.
Really?
And we toured around Korea.
No shit.
For a bit, and it was
fun. What's
that
scene like?
So this was about 2000, 2001. It was really cool. Like, so we were playing a lot of like Blink 182.
Sure, what the kind of stuff that was out, right?
And, and we were in high school, so we were playing that kind of music. Mainly because, it's fun and girls loved it. It's a lot of fun to see a lot of hot girls at the front of the stage.
Real quick,
jumping up and down.
How
dancing.
is it being a teenage drummer in Korea that's not from Korea? So you're like kind of more exotic, right? You get a lot of attention. Drummers don't normally, but I imagine you probably did playing that band.
I think so.
Yeah, not so bad.
Enough to really enjoy it and be happy and just keep doing it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff? So all right, let's take a step back a second then. So you weren't born in San Antonio, were you?
No, I was born in Las Cruces, New Mexico.
Las Cruces?
Yeah.
Oh man, right by El Paso. Pretty good college town.
Spent a lot of time. So I was born in Las Cruces. My dad was stationed at White Sands Missile Range.
Okay.
So it's the closest hospital, really.
Yeah.
Las Cruces.
Army, you said, right?
Yeah, Army.
And it's just you, your mom and dad? Or you have any siblings?
I have two sisters.
Younger
and
or older?
They were both born in El Paso.
Oh, okay.
Both younger. So after White Sands, he moved to Fort Bliss in El Paso. Spent a few years there. Both my first sister was born. Then we moved to Germany. Lived in Germany for I think 3 or 4 years. Then moved back to El Paso, to Fort Bliss. Stayed there.
About how old were you when you moved back to El Paso?
It was about I think 6.
Oh, so pretty young.
Yeah, this is all very young.
Not disrupting your life that much yet.
Yeah, but when moved back to El Paso, stayed there till 95. My other sister was born during this time. Then in 95, moved to Korea.
Yeah.
Spent the next 6 years in Korea. So I lived in Korea for 6 years.
All the high school years?
Yeah, all my high school years. Graduated high school in Korea.
Oh, crazy. Is it difficult high school there? I imagine it'd be much more difficult.
It was actually an American school.
Oh, it was? Okay.
Yeah, it was an American school.
On the base?
That was on base.
Oh, okay.
And it was small. I mean, the whole school population from 7th to 12th grade was just under 300 students.
Oh, wow. That's not, yeah.
So it was
not too much.
Really cool community, really cool people. Ended up liking it so much. That's why we stayed so long. We just liked it and just kept living there.
Was your dad still stationed there? Okay.
Yeah, still stationed there.
Yeah, so you get to hang out as much as you want. You graduate high school and you're thinking, do you want to go to college? Do you want to go tour more being a drummer? What were the plans then?
Go to college. Ended up coming back here to San Antonio. Went to St. Mary's.
No kidding. Okay. For undergrad?
Yeah.
But that seems relatively random since you hadn't lived in San Antonio, right?
So bringing us back to that, my dad is from San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
He was born and raised here in San Antonio.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
Yep. And he went to St. Mary's, too.
So he's got good experience with it.
Mm-hmm. So we moved back here. I went to St. Mary's for a year. Decided college wasn't for me. The whole time I was here, I was pretty much doing music anyway.
What is it about college that didn't mesh with you? Because sometimes it's like I'd rather have a social life. I don't really feel like studying. Do you just not see the value in it? Like, what was it for you?
I wanted to do other things that I wasn't learning in college. I went to St. Mary's for biology. I wanted to work in a lab.
Yeah,
that's what I thought I did.
Right.
Until you actually do it, and it's like, no, that's not what I want to do. No, I really wanted to do music.
Yeah.
And so I also applied to Berklee College of Music in Boston.
No shit.
Found out there was no way in hell I was going to pay for that.
Oh.
And afford to live in Boston.
Yeah.
As well as going to school there. So, I moved back to El Paso where I still had a lot of friends. My family was still living back there. So I went back and I started getting back into music, set up my studio.
So this was, what year are we talking? When you're
2002, 2003, I guess.
So at the drive-in's fucking huge.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
So,
had to have been.
So El Paso had a huge music scene.
Yes.
El Paso has a great music scene. It did back then, and I haven't been back to El Paso in a long time, but I'm sure it still does now.
Yeah.
And that has a lot to do with, El Paso, there's not much to do in El Paso.
Right. Except to get in trouble.
And play music and drink and
does everybody like the Smiths in El Paso? I heard that rumor from
yeah. There's a lot of like all that. I mean, the Smiths,
Depeche Mode, that kind of like forlorn, dark, moddy kind of stuff. The Cure, probably.
Yeah, and you see that a lot, I think, in the music that was coming out there at the time.
Why do you think that? I have not been able to crack that code. I don't. I get it, and I like that stuff.
Think about this: why are people that live in northern altitudes so into like really hard death heavy metal?
Oh, interesting.
Like
Sabbath or like Megadeth?
No, I'm talking like
Slayer?
Like even heavier. Like I'm talking
Napalm
like
Death? Sorry, I keep dropping all these band names.
Deicide.
Oh, Jesus.
I mean, like
the darkest of the dark.
Scandinavian metal and like.
No, it's a good point. Why is there a Scandinavian metal movement? I don't understand.
I feel like I have friends that are up in Washington, up in rural upstate New York.
Yeah.
These really cold, snowy, miserable places, and there's such a big metal scene in these places.
Yeah. Maybe they're just pissed that they're stuck in the snow
I don't know.
all the time.
Like why? But like it's like that. Like I feel like certain like Seattle, bred grunge, and I feel like these. I mean, like Miami, like it's.
That's a good point.
I mean, like
it makes some sense.
The place you're at, like the more I look at scenes like this, and like I feel like weather and culture and climate, they all
just like culminate and kind of produce a scene.
So for whatever reason, El Paso produced that kind of
lots of stuff. It's very somber fucking. Like if I were just to think about what is El Paso by the music that they listen to, I'd be like, man, everybody's really somber in El Paso.
Somber, either that or they were really like punked out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I feel like that kind of
it's a big kind of pull, like either really aggressive or really sad and kind of retrospective. Well, how was did you like going back to El Paso? Did you have a good time socially and playing in bands and stuff?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah, so I went back to El Paso, started recording, did a lot of hip hop.
Oh, really?
Recording.
Writing beats or playing beats?
Both.
Yeah.
Writing beats, recording a lot of great artists out there in El Paso. They had a really good hip hop scene at the time. I'm sure they still do. Pretty good mix of, recording some reggae, some rock, some jazz.
And so when you mentioned like you were building a studio, had that happened yet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so were you running a studio out of your own place?
Ended up getting a house with three other guys, and we had a huge 3-car garage that was converted, and I pretty much built a studio in there.
No
just
kidding.
The whole room.
Soundproofed it and all that.
Yeah, built a stage. It was really good for recording drums.
Wow. Pretty dead room, or?
It was a live room.
Oh, very.
It was very live.
Speaking of live room, this is a very live room.
Yeah, but it was live in a good way. Like it wasn't like harsh.
Contained. It was
contained live.
Yeah.
So when he played drums, like the snare would smack good.
Right.
You know, like you'd get that.
Yeah.
Like
but not too resonant, right? Just like it hits the
not
wall
messy.
and it's done. Yeah.
You know, like a tighter live.
Yeah,
I guess
for
you can
sure.
say. Yeah. So it was cool. And did a lot of recording out of there. At the same time, around that time, I started publishing a music magazine.
No kidding. Were you putting together the pictures and the layout, or were you writing for it?
I was writing for it, layout. I was basically the editor in chief, like the publisher.
No shit. What was it called?
It was called the Stripe.
The Stripe.
And had a great staff, you know, and we covered basically like a little mini Rolling Stone for El Paso.
That's insane. There's plenty of people there. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of interest in music.
Yeah, it was
How was
great.
it received? What was the medium? Were you guys doing it on, probably not online yet, but
no,
physical,
yeah, it
like
was funny back then. Yeah, there were still, you know, magazines. You can still.
That's fucking that's incredible.
Yeah, like online really wasn't. It was like I think MySpace was starting to become big around that time.
So did you start building good connections, and did you? Man, I can't imagine. Like, you seem like you'd be really connected at that point. So you're producing music, which means you're connecting with the musicians that come into track. You're writing music, composing. You're writing about music. Like, were you the guy? Were you the music guy in El Paso at that point?
No, I wasn't the music guy. You know, El Paso had a pretty good music scene already. Like, there were already some pretty great established bands. I mean, places to record. El Paso already had like a world-class studio.
What's the?
It was in Tornillo. It's like where. So like that's where At the Drive-In, Mars Volta recorded there. Ministry recorded there.
Oh shit.
I think Yeah's recorded one of their albums there.
Oh wow! So it's like it's an oasis.
Yeah. So it's like a little ranch. It's in Tornillo, and I forget the name of the place now. I think Sonic Ranch Studios, I think was what it's called. And it was out basically on a ranch.
No kidding.
In the middle of nowhere, like outside the city.
Yeah.
So it was very much like an oasis.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So it had that going. A lot of international bands kind of.
Yeah, and there was a couple other studios. There was lots of people. A lot of people had studios, and a lot of people had bigger studios. I mean, it's a great scene, and there was a lot of people bringing in shows. We had a lot of great venues. We had a lot going on for ourselves.
Yeah, it seems like it. And you, in some sense, like you were kind of helping bring all that stuff together, writing about it.
Yeah, and you know, now I think about it, I think a lot of it had to do was that we weren't bringing in national acts.
Yeah,
no one was coming to El Paso.
They didn't see a value in it, did they? I remember when Fugazi's last tour, they played 2 shows in Texas, and imagine where those 2 shows were, because Fugazi fucking knows. They played in Austin, they played 2 nights in Emos, and they played 2 nights in El Paso. I mean, think about that drive.
Well, see,
too.
like I was saying, like that punk.
Yeah,
that's
a huge. It's like
a
just
huge thing.
Undercurrent. Yeah.
But you know, we weren't getting like national acts, so I think it's like when a town doesn't have a national team, sports team.
Yeah.
But they have their college team, or they have their high school team.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And that's what they just root for. And so like we were really rooting for each other, like, and you know, trying to make El Paso music.
That's incredible. So what did it ultimately lead you to do? Did you end up touring, doing
more
records?
So I ended up learning a really big lesson.
Oh yes, please.
At the time, so I ended up learning a lesson in business dealings and about picking good business partners.
Right.
At the
you
time,
can never tell sometimes.
You know, and so you know, I lost a lot. And
what was it? What was the particular business? Was it the studio?
For the magazine.
Oh, okay.
And you know, it wasn't good. You know, it was a bad deal, and it messed me up quite a bit. You know, it's like damn, you know,
it's like being heartbroken.
Yeah,
I've had this happen recently with the business dealing, and it's no different than the person that you love saying, "Yeah, sorry, I'm over it, I'm out." It's the same thing. You put your time into it, put your sweat into it, your love of music in this case into it. It's got to be really difficult.
Yeah.
So what'd you do?
And so then, you know, it was like, you know, I was real distraught, and there was more to it.
I'm sure there's some minutia there, but ultimately, it sent you forward in some sense.
Yeah. So at that point in my life, I was like, you know, I was 24. I was like, well, I'm still very young. I had always wanted to join the military.
Yeah. Because your father's in the Army, right?
Yeah, and so, I looked and I was like, if I join now, so being in Korea, every male in Korea has to serve in the military.
How long?
For at least 2 years.
2 years, okay.
Either that or like some form of civil service.
I see. Okay.
So I mean, if they wanted to go to college, they can still go to college and do some kind of civil service.
Gotcha.
But they still had to serve the country.
Yeah.
And I always growing up in Korea, I always felt like a sense of that. I was
right?
like, that's a great idea. And so I was like, well, this is the perfect time to do that, because
you're not too old, not too young.
No. So that's when I joined the Air Force, and joined the Air Force. Was in the Air Force for 6 years, active duty.
No kidding.
And then
see any cool places in the world?
Yeah. So right out. I joined the Air Force in El Paso. They sent me here to San Antonio.
No shit.
I went to basic training, went to technical school here. Got sent. My first base was Germany, Ramstein.
Again, bringing it back. Right?
Yeah. So stayed 2 years in Ramstein. After that, moved to New Jersey, to McGuire Air Force Base.
How's Jersey?
It was great.
It's good.
So McGuire, the base itself is in the middle of farmland, southern Jersey, and it's nothing out there. It's just farmland and pines.
So it's beautiful.
It's gorgeous.
So that's the thing about Jersey. A lot of people, they say, "Oh, fucking Jersey," but that's the Jersey Shore is kind of dank.
Yeah, it's so. But Jersey's gorgeous. I had no idea. I'll tell you a great story about how beautiful Jersey is. I deployed to Qatar one time, and Qatar literally looks like you're on the surface of Mars or something.
No shit, because it's flat and a bunch of dust.
It's flat.
Right?
It's desert. There's no vegetation growing on the ground.
Right.
Literally, there's no weeds or anything growing on the ground. It's so hot and arid, and there's nothing. It's desolate.
Yeah.
So, after seeing that for so much, when I went back to Jersey, it was full on summertime.
Lush and colorful.
It was so lush. I was driving home, I was driving myself home, after getting off the plane. And this is the first time I had seen Jersey during the summer.
Yeah.
And I was I almost ran off the road. I just couldn't stop looking at everything. It was stupid, but it's a really beautiful place.
Wait, is it Qatar? Qatar, right?
Yeah, Qatar.
Yeah. That's a pretty good stint. So you go to San Antonio, Germany, Jersey. Where else did you make it?
So I was basically living in Philadelphia, or the Jersey side of Philadelphia.
Okay.
During that time, and I deployed 3 times, twice to Qatar and once to Afghanistan.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the question you probably get a lot is did you see any action?
No, I'd say most people didn't see any action. I mean,
because Air Force is slightly different. It's not it's literally not on the ground.
Yeah, it's plus I don't know it's not traditional battle or anything anymore. Right. It's
yeah, it is. It's all kind of calculated. So people in a room doing
little
stuff.
Skirmishes here and there, and we're dropping a lot of bombs. There's a lot of UAVs.
Yeah. How is it I'll never be in a jet plane. How is that feeling?
I don't know. I haven't been in a jet plane either.
Okay.
I'd love to though.
I give you too much credit, I guess. I don't know.
Then that'd be amazing. Yeah, I've always wanted to go in a jet plane. I have a couple friends that did. They won they were NCO of the year. And they got they're one of the prizes they get for the accomplishment was to fly in a jet plane.
Oh man, it's amazing. Yeah, God. Son of a.
Because that's got to be amazing.
It's got to be something. I probably couldn't do it. I'm sure they would see it on my face, at haunted houses, where the person that's scared, oh, we're gonna fucking terrify that guy.
You think about going on a roller coaster, and that's nothing, compared to going.
Right, it can't be
at supersonic speeds.
Yeah,
and
then just go flipping the. I couldn't do it. I've never vomited on a ride, but I'm pretty sure that would induce
you'll pass out. They wear G suits and shit.
I can pass out. As long as I don't vomit all over myself, I'm fine. I'll pass out. I'll piss myself. I don't care. That's fine.
But I flew quite a bit. I worked with the heavy airplanes, so the big C5, C17, C130s.
Are they refueling kind of?
Cargo movement, passenger movement, all that. I got to fly on those quite a bit.
Turbulence is not the same on those, is it?
I think it's probably worse.
Worse. Is it scary being on those massive planes?
Some people are scared of them.
You like that?
Those planes, I'll give it to them. They're massive and they're huge,
yeah.
But they can fucking fly them. They can fly them, do some crazy shit with them. They can bank them hard. we flew on a couple training missions on a C-17. They were like diving to the ground, and then as soon as they hit like the runway, like they touch and go back up.
Oh my, are you kidding me?
Oh yeah,
that's
like
crazy.
We flew on a trip from Jersey to Phoenix on a training mission, and they were riding through the Rocky Mountains and just
weaving through
the mountains,
like this is child's play.
Really low. Yeah, and it was like this massive plane, like this,
So there's a lot of skills there.
There's a lot of skill, and these planes are really. It's fascinating to think about. This huge thing is just that agile and can do these, all the while carrying like all this
stuff,
cargo,
tonnage, lots of tonnage, right?
Yeah, so they're really pretty cool planes. So.
Man, that's crazy. So when you were thinking about, did the Berkeley thing that happened before the Air Force though? Although you ended up in Philly, which is somewhat close. Mm-hmm. Right. And so is there a base in Philly, or it's based in Jersey?
Yeah, based in Philly. So it's about 45 minutes east of Philly.
Oh, okay.
And I lived about 30 minutes away from the base. So I lived closer to Philly than I lived at the base.
Oh, okay.
I lived about 15 minutes away from downtown Philly.
Oh, not bad.
So no, it was great because, I got to spend a lot of my free time in Philly and in New York.
Beautiful cityscape.
Yeah, Philly's a great city. It's got a great scene. I was there from, I think, 2009, 2010 to 2013.
Oh, really? So pretty recently.
Pretty recent,
yeah. Because I met you shortly after you must have come back.
I met you right as getting to here.
Just right into San Antonio. Were you seeing I guess at that point in 2013, New York especially had been a very established cocktail scene.
I spent a lot of time in New York just exploring it and enjoying it.
Were cocktails and food of any interest at that point?
Yeah, so I know we talked a lot about my music, but this whole time, going all the way back, I've always been in the industry with food and beverage.
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
So my dad, his second job has always been a bartender.
No kidding.
And he bartended a lot. So from a very young age, I learned a lot about drinks.
Did he bartend in Korea? There's alcohol there for sure. Right?
Yeah.
But he was on base.
This was earlier.
Earlier on.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was earlier, probably like 60s, 70s, early
cool.
80s.
Different scene completely.
Oh yeah, completely. So he gave me my first bartending book, an old copy that he had it was from 1968, the Mr. Boston's bartending guide.
Oh yeah.
It was his. And I remember like when they'd have parties, like he would put out a bottle of whiskey, a bottle of vermouth, and some bitters.
Yeah.
And it was like, make your own Manhattan.
You do it.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So like, he taught me a lot, and I grew up with it, and so that was my other like passion, was learning about spirits and learning about cocktails. Right. And
do you find there's a nice commonality between spirits and music? Because there's this strange, it's not strange, but there's this very common thread with the people that I talk to.
Like,
so many people are in music.
I was listening to, I think the podcast you had, it's a little while ago, you had brought up that there were so many people in music that come into the world.
It's insane.
Of
so many people.
Of booze.
And I feel like, and tell me if you feel this way, but I feel like music is a balance of notes, different tones, right? So bass, middle, treble. If you look at your EQ settings, and I think drinks are very similar.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
No matter what, you look at the balance of this bottle of Stagg here,
right.
And you think about what makes it great. Well, compared to other whiskeys or other shitty whiskeys, and it's because they've managed to balance things inside it and make it this cohesive, beautiful spirit. And so down from individual spirits and liqueurs, all the way to actual cocktails and balancing all these ingredients.
Yeah.
So it's like this is a finely crafted and honed guitar, and a cocktail would be a whole band.
That's exactly right. That's how I look at it. I go back to the Beatles because it's the easiest thing for me to remember. Like 4 dudes, everybody's got their place, and no one is ever out of place, right? And it's John, you know when it's Paul, you know when it's George, and you certainly fucking know when it's Ringo. It's just and drinks are not that. Food's not that different either. It's the same thing. It's just this combination of notes and everything. So it seems like this,
and it's part of performance too.
Sure. Definitely. Well, that's true. Yeah,
it's part
absolutely.
Performance and putting yourself out there, and there's some like my shit's good and your shit sucks. There's a lot of shit talking, and
that's true. That's very, very true. Absolutely true. And so when was that first moment where you finally got your feet wet into?
So when I moved back to El Paso,
doing the zine. at that point?
Yeah, when I first moved back to El Paso, returning from here, St. Mary's, my first job was working. When I moved back, I was working at Applebee's. I started cooking, and the whole time I was, recording and doing everything. Like I always was either cooking or I started bartending, or like that was always like
you just balance. You're juggling that stuff all the time.
I was always doing both the whole time, and it's just the two loves that I had,
Yeah. Well, because they work with each other. They give each other momentum. Like drinking. Imagine how many great songs have been written as bourbon as the impetus. I mean, it's funny because one does give to the other, but then at the same time, art and music lends way to try to craft cocktails, I think, too, for me, or dishes. If you taste a great bourbon, so segue into the Stag real quick. So we're doing a vertical. We're fucking bougie, lucky, privileged guys. You brought the bottle of 2013 George T Stagg Buffalo Trace Antique Collection. I brought the 14. So we're tasting these vertical. Yours is 64%, dot something.
That one.
Mine is not yours and mine, but the 2014 is 69%. And we're tasting these like in tandem, and they're incredibly different, and they sing in these whole different ways, right? And very musical. Do you have any kind of what do you think about the 13 and the 14? I think I've got them lined up here correctly. They're both. Stag is to be reckoned with, man.
Oh yeah, it's quite a force. That's why I've always loved it. I love these really ballsy kinds of things and these just big things. Like,
why does it remind do you watch a lot of movies?
Yeah, not as much as I'd like to, but
it makes me think of Charles Bronson and Lee Marvin, and Chuck, the guys that had the cojones from the 70s and the 80s. That's what Stag reminds me of, because it's not easy, but it's not difficult. It's rough around the edges,
Then and there's lots of these very gorgeous and elegant and very just sublime kind of whiskeys and spirits, and those are great, and they're beautiful in their own respect. And this is not one of them.
Everybody needs a Cate Blanchett, right?
This is not one of them, and I love it. I love it for that. I love it. It's got the fucking stag horns on it,
dude. It's got horns on it. What other said Stag Jr.? What other bottles have horns on it? Well, there's Red Stag too, but that's kind of a misappropriation of the beautiful Stag name.
So, and I love it for what it is. And so I thought it was really cool that you had a bottle from a different year.
Yeah, it was an amazing way to collaborate. No finer way to collaborate than do a vertical on George T Stagg. Beautiful stuff in its own right. So you're still focusing on food, focusing on cocktails. You head back to San Antonio in 2013. Did you do food stuff in New York as well? Or no, so you were just visiting, so in Philly?
Yeah, so it was a great education, because I was still in the military, and that was what I did.
Yeah.
But every chance we got, because I was married at the time.
Yeah. When did you get married?
I got married in Germany.
In Germany?
Yeah,
oh.
2007.
Did you meet her in Germany?
Yeah, but she was also in the Air Force.
Oh, no kidding. And she moved with you to San Antonio, if I recall. Yep. I think I'd met her.
Yeah, so she was always very much into food and drink too. So we had a lot of great adventures, going to a lot of great places.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially in New York, we were pretty lucky to pretty much hit up
any big spot.
Any famous spot.
Was Milk and Honey still open at that point?
Milk and Honey.
Yeah.
That was one of the places we didn't go. Was Milk and Honey. I would say that place and there's so many, one of the few places that we really didn't really get to go to. But
did you check out PDT too?
Yeah, all those places. There's places that have been open since.
Yeah. Oh, lots of places. Dead Rabbit.
Well, I did go to Dead Rabbit.
Oh, you did?
So I ended up going to CIA, and then I went back to New York to cook at Le Bernardin for a stint.
Okay, so let me get. So you're in Philly. Was the Air Force your action, or your what do you call it? That it was over?
Yeah.
You're still enlisted, right? But your assignment's over.
Yeah. So in the military, you're on contracts. You sign a contract. My contract was for 6 years. I didn't re-enlist. I didn't extend it or go another 4 or 6 years or whatever.
And that's when you came back to San Antonio?
So I separated. That's what they call it. I separated. although I stayed in the Air Force, I separated from active duty. I stayed in Air Force Reserves. So luckily, San Antonio is a big Air Force city.
Yeah,
obviously.
Sure.
So they had a Air Force Reserve unit here that fit what I was doing.
Yeah.
And for the next 2 years after that, I was Air Force Reserves here.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So
and still have some family here, and getting more refamiliarized with what is kind of like this bubbling up and kind of culinary culture that's kind of coming into play, right?
Oh yeah. So it was great to see what was going on, you know, like in Boston, New York, DC, Philadelphia, and seeing what's going on, and then coming here and, you know, having that knowledge and, you know, kind of expanding on it and, you know, doing things like that here. And it was really cool, like to see. And the reason why I liked San Antonio, I mean, there was a lot of reasons. You know, they had a reserve unit for me. They had the CIA was here. I had family here.
Yeah.
But looking at San Antonio had a really budding and cool, I think a really cool looking food scene and drink scene going on here.
For sure. And it's still like kind of untapped. It's like the areas of Texas that were primed for oil drilling. You know what I mean? Like, not to make it like about profit or anything, but San Antonio is still relatively an untapped economy with regard to food.
Oh, definitely.
Cocktails and stuff. It's so big.
It's a huge market. But you know, unlike other markets, you know, there's a lot of differences. You know, just looking at population size, you would think, well, you know, why isn't it this way, or how come it's, you know, well, there's a lot of other factors here, a lot of cultural factors. You know, a lot of people hold on to, you know, tradition and they don't want to change, or still a lot of poverty here in San Antonio.
Absolutely. You see, it's got a lot of promise though. Still.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you know, and so it has a lot to do with just education and, you know, showing people different things and showing people, you know, things they may have not tried before. And so it takes a little bit of, you know, cajoling and getting things, you know, but I think we have, you know, some really great people here that are really helping, you know, to bring this kind of change about in the better, you know,
and bring it
to
a national scale. You know, I mean, I just chatted with Jared. I mean, the dude put himself on an international map for San Antonio. Probably the first to do it that way, you know, from San Antonio.
That's great.
It's totally great. And so this pursuit, you're at CIA in San Antonio. Did you see something more coming about? You said how long were you in New York after that?
For the CIA?
Yeah.
So I was going to, my original plan, I wanted to extern at Le Bernardin.
Okay.
Because we had to extern.
Okay.
For about 5 months.
Sure.
During your stint. And that's where I wanted to go. So I went there and staged for a while at Le Bernardin. So I stayed in New York for about a week.
Yeah. How was it?
It was great. I mean, going back there, it was like, damn, I really miss this place.
Yeah. Do you ever think about moving back? It's a rough lifestyle.
And you know, as much as it is rough, I mean, for the week we were living in Bushwick with a friend at the time. I was living there, going to Le Bernardin.
And did your wife at the time go with you?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
She stayed behind. You know, there's a lot of reasons why I came back here, and you know, as exciting New York is, I wanted to be closer to family, and I wanted to get out of the fucking cold. I was tired of it.
Was starting a family ever on your radar?
Yeah, but you know, like after we became established and
financially, right?
Yeah, and all that, you know, and we had things going. So,
do you ultimately want to be a head chef somewhere? Was it parlaying that food experience into cocktails?
No, yeah. So it was ultimately about taking everything I learned at the CIA and through cooking and putting it towards drinks.
Yeah. Interesting. And that's a brilliant way to look at it, because drinks are food, it's ingredients, and it's balance. It's the same thing like making a simple syrup or making a juice or clarified juice. It's like making ghee or you know, lots of other things with cooking, so it's not so different.
No, it's not. And I always had a fascination with sauces. I always wanted to be a saucier. Which is why I love Le Bernardin, because their saucier, like when I went to the station and I was looking at what he did and the sauces that he made, every day at the time he was making 22 sauces every day. And these are just like the most gorgeous sauces, you know, you could possibly, and they're just beautiful. And like, it's like I really loved like making sauces,
Yeah,
and putting things together, you know, and so
there's something about sauces, right? Like salsa to me is a sauce.
Yeah, they're all sauces. Yeah,
mole, of course, mornay. Like I don't want to get into the other sauces, but there's something about that is so balanced. It is, God forbid, but it is like a cocktail for your food.
Mm-hmm.
It is because it's so balanced. It's got all the elements to it.
It's liquid. I mean, you're putting things together in beautiful ways.
You're just cooking it in a different way.
If
you heat the stag up that same way, you'll have a massive flame on your hands.
For sure. Yeah. So I loved it, and I wanted to bring all that knowledge I had into the world of drinks.
Yeah.
And you know, and part of that was, you know, in the military, we have the GI Bill,
right? And
they pay for your college up to 36 months.
Did CIA count?
Yeah.
Oh, rad.
So you know, I was like, I want to use this GI Bill, you know, and I want to. So the CIA was like a natural choice.
Yeah.
To do. I mean, they're one of the best schools in the country and even in the world for culinary.
Sure.
It just so happens that they just opened one here in San Antonio. I wanted to go back to San Antonio. It all worked out.
Just lined up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What do you think was your major takeaway from, because you finished up at CIA? Mm-hmm. What was the main thing that you got from it that you'll never forget? This is one of those like job interview questions. What was the thing that you learned at your previous employer that?
You know, I think the biggest thing, I had a lot of great mentors and instructors there who are they're just world class. They're outstanding people, and they really care about you learning and about you succeeding. And they taught me how to taste.
Very important thing.
Really taste. And I think that was probably the best part. Like, and critically, like look at what you made, you know, because it was always about, you know, you have tests, you have to make something, and then you bring your plate over to the instructor, you sit down and present it to him, 2 plates or something like that. You have one, and he has one.
And you both taste together.
Both taste,
talk, right?
And he asked you, like, what do you think about this? You know, or, you know, and like really like make you think about like what the hell you're doing.
That is being critical of what you're tasting is so important for making cocktail. It's important for life because it basically is what it's doing is giving you critical analysis skills, but in a different sense, right?
Yeah.
Like,
and not only that, giving you the vocabulary to express that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a lot of people miss that, or they say things that they don't really mean. It's hard to express verbally or in writing like what you're experiencing.
Right.
Sometimes I think some people have problems expressing emotions, or that's why people aren't musical. They don't know how to express. And so it was giving me a means and a ways to express what I was tasting and to know what good tastes like.
Right.
Importantly, like I have great examples of what things that are considered great or things that are great, what they taste like.
Yeah, that's having some barometer for what is great. Because it is kind of, you take whiskey, for example. If you ask people what's great, and they say, because most people will say it because of the value, like how much something
either
costs,
what they've heard or what they think they know, or what they've experienced.
Exactly, and you hope it would be that what they've experienced outweighs the other two. But some people, like, they'll look at a whiskey and like, oh, it's 20 years old, that's going to be good. But the thing is, unless you have discerning taste about it and really think about it critically, lots of 20-year-old whiskeys fucking taste terrible. Not terrible, but not less than stellar, right? Like this Stag is probably what, 6 to 10. I'll just give that large range. But it's
some people say it's up to 17 or 18. I've heard that.
Oh,
before.
really?
Yeah, I've heard that.
I'm way off then on this one. I'm thinking of Stag Junior, I think. But
that's what I've heard. I mean, they don't have no age statement on it, honestly, but I've heard that.
But that's a cool thing. Is it's like it's blind in a sense, right? We're tasting it for what it is, and we're not letting the age bias us.
Yeah, and I think they do it on purpose because it's the whole fucking barrel.
Yeah,
they find a barrel that they like.
Yep.
Whether it be this age or this age, and they say, this is it.
And
this
is
going to be the Stag.
It's wonderfully dark. I mean, it's crazy. So as you kind of pursued using and converting, translating those skills you learned with cooking into the cocktail world, and this is the thing, and I don't want to press on it too much, but so I've been divorced as well, and it seems like you guys are probably still pretty good friends. But did you find yourself moving one direction and she was moving another direction? Because it seems like this stuff's kind of lining up where you're having a change. Like there's definitely a change.
No, we were both on track of what we both wanted to do.
Yeah.
And she always, encouraged me to do the things that I wanted to do in life, and I always encouraged her to do the things that she wanted to do. And we always met. I think we were really good at that. We were good at a lot of things. I think we were really good at being friends.
Yeah.
But ultimately, we learned that we didn't have the connection, the romantic like
connection?
that.
Yeah.
Those kinds of things
Sure.
that really made a marriage successful.
Sure.
And
that's a good question. What do you think is something that will make a marriage successful?
Well, I think we had some of it, or we definitely had a lot of it, or else we wouldn't get married. But I think we had the trust. I think it's
just great. Yeah.
So I think trust, communication is key. She really helped teach me how to communicate, and talk about things, and I think that helps a lot. When you have great communication and you have good trust, things that fall after that, are having that romantic connection, connection in general,
Sure.
Being able to share things.
So somehow it changed.
Yeah.
And it was something you both agreed on. Did it send your life into a spiral of any sort? I mean, it's never easy.
Yeah, it was a little rocky for a while, but I mean, it wasn't like a terrible breakup. I mean, we didn't have to get any lawyers or anything.
Which is good. Yeah.
We basically did it ourselves. We split everything up ourselves. We knew it was best for us.
Yeah.
And so.
And then what was that life like professionally for you after that? Did you have more centered focus and kind of a clear vision of what you wanted to do?
Yeah, I think I ended up having ultimately, I mean, it sounds selfish, but like I had, more time for myself to.
Yeah, I mean, you literally had more time.
Mm-hmm. So, I had more time to do the things that I wanted to pursue.
Yeah.
And it was good in that regard, I guess. I mean, if you want to look at.
Yeah, I mean, because I always try to find some positive to
Yeah.
come from it. It's like, God, we're both so sad bastards. No, like, you fucking recover, you follow your passion, and you do great things.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, I think like even a lot of people that's after that first marriage or that going on to the second marriage, that's where like the true greatness happens. And that's happened to a lot of people. A lot of guys will attest to that. Yeah. But what was the first gig cocktail-wise after you got out of the CIA?
The first gig cocktail-wise after I got out of the CIA was with Mishley.
Mishley. Oh, so Mishley was the first gig. Okay. Because you were helping build it, right?
Yeah. So that was the first gig here in San Antonio.
Yeah.
And I basically did all of their drinks, their drink pairings for their elaborate dinners. And
you guys, when did the Mescaleria open up?
That opened up this year, back May 1st.
May 1st. And how long had Mishley been open? Like, what was the difference between how long they've been open?
A year and a half. So Mishley's been open for over 2 years, almost 2.5.
Yeah. And then in May, you had this Mescaleria with an amazing selection of spirits focused on agave or asparagisea.
Agave,
right?
Basically anything Mexican.
Yeah.
I mean, even rums basically just because the focus was on Mexico.
Right. What was it? A particular type of spirit that you found yourself drawn to, like agave? Let's just call it agave, or Mexican desert spirits, whatever.
Yeah. So I had always been drawn to agave, and I started really getting into agave when I first moved to Jersey. So back in 2009.
Jersey, really?
Yeah. And
was it a big movement there?
Well, I say Jersey, but like in Philadelphia.
Oh, right,
New York.
Metropolitan. Yeah.
Because Jersey is weird because a lot of people call it the armpit of the U.S. It's kind of like a hinge, and it kind of just either fluctuate towards Philadelphia or New York,
which are both great metropolitan, great cocktails.
And it's basically like a buffer zone between the two.
I see.
They don't really have. I guess they do have their own identity for sure, but so much of it is tied to either city.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's interesting. What was that first agave spirit that was like, man, I'm tasting something different here?
Oh, I think the first one I really ever had was probably Ilegal.
The
New York.
Espadin,
that's
the Yehoven.
They're Hoven.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was Reposado, but that was the first time I ever had mezcal. I've had it like by itself straight. I was having cocktails with mezcal. They were rinsing a lot of things with mezcal at the time. But it was starting to get really big. You can see that, especially like in New York. And so I really got like excited about it. And,
it's something different, right? Like it's this new scene, this new movement, this new genre, this kind of thing. But of course, it's been around for eons in Mexico and Philippines and Asia and stuff. But there's something. Yeah, I felt like so many people with mezcal, and this, I don't know if this was the case with me specifically, but a lot of people, like, they'll rinse a glass of it. Like, I don't want to date you, but I'll have sex with you. Like, that's right. Like the Tinder thing, fine. We'll go get food. We'll fuck, and then that's it.
Dabble in it.
Yeah, just dabble in it. But like,
just a tip.
Exactly, that's exactly what it is. But then once you say, all right, okay, I'm gonna take this seriously. We're gonna go steady, mezcal. Once you do that, the amount of love that you can taste, the amount of nature that you can taste, the amount of craftsmanship that you can taste is unparalleled in any other spirit. You know, I've said this before on many of the episodes, but bourbon takes its life from the barrel. The distillate is a clean, grain-based distillate. Mezcal takes its life from the land and the makers. And it's different. It's totally different thing.
Oh, yeah.
And it is that special, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, not to say that other spirits aren't special, because they are. And I mean, the amount of work and money and time it takes to age spirits, is
bleeding you dry.
It's huge. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole like beautiful art and industry, aging spirits.
Right.
But you know, that's human work, and agave, like you said, is nature's work.
That's right.
You know, your agave is a tremendous, beautiful plant. I mean, it's a tough plant.
It is.
You know,
so
like
resilient.
Going back to like things that are tough and got balls. Agave's got a lot of that. It's got, you know, it's pretty much doesn't want to die. Like
it does not. It's gonna go.
It's gonna go. It's gonna grow. It's gonna live. I mean, it takes a long time for it to get to that point where it can reproduce. That's ultimately, you know, the goal of life is to reproduce. Some of it takes up to 30 years to get to that point where it can finally say it's time to reproduce. I got enough energy built up from the land.
Yeah.
You know, I've reached the point where I can bloom and release.
The quiote,
you know, my seeds and that whole time, you know, it's working towards that point of reproducing. Right. It's taking in nutrients. It's surviving.
Yeah. It's observing.
It's observing. You know, it's getting all this. And when you take that, you're taking the whole plant. You know, you're not just taking a part of it. You're not taking a little seed or grain.
Right.
Or
you're taking its life.
You're taking the whole thing.
Yeah.
And you're making a liquor out of that. So
it's almost like
it's a profound kind of thing.
Very poetic. Because it's giving its life, in a sense. Because corn, you're right, it's a grain, single grain. You can still leave the corn intact if you wanted. Rye, same kind of thing. But the agave, you take its heart. You literally,
you're basically sacrificing. I mean, it would have sacrificed itself anyway to reproduce, which is
let's make it more dramatic. Don't get it. We're killing it for our pleasure. Well, so I heard that you're not at Michelin anymore. How did that come about? The disillusion, as they say.
So, going back, I guess I didn't learn my lesson the first time about
business relationships.
You know, I can't say that. You know, I love being there. I built that place.
Yeah.
You know,
it seemed like
how many. You know, it's not very often that you get to build your own place from the ground up. Pretty much, not ground up, but I mean.
No, but the concept and the selection.
Everything.
I mean, it felt like you had a very heavy hand in
the
love
from designing the way it looked inside.
Right.
You know, I have a background in graphic design. You know, that's what I did. You know, I put out a newspaper. I mean, a magazine.
You had to know layout and design.
So, you know, I was very good at that. I designed the menus. You know, built all the recipes for the cocktails, the beer list. You know, it's when you have and basically running the place. You know, doing all the accounting and everything, and you
were in it. You were in the trenches.
And you know, I loved it. This is what I thrived on, and that's what I enjoyed doing.
Yeah.
And you know, it was my baby, and I loved it. So
how are you feeling about it now?
You know, it's sad. You know, it was a beautiful place, and you know, I'm gonna miss it a lot.
Hate to see it,
but you know, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's like going through another divorce, really.
Right.
And I've been through that, and so now, having done that, you know, I feel like I'm prepared for it. I mean, I know to keep my composure and, just
No,
know that, life goes on and there's always, it's what you make of it, and so I'm still going to, go on to do great things.
Was it amicable in any way? Or is it pretty acrimony, pretty bitter?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best of, it never is great.
Yeah.
But.
Interesting. So you headed over to Esquire, if I recall. Yeah. How's that been?
It's great.
Houston's touch and go with the place, right? Still? Wonderful guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy. They have a great team. We have, just an amazing set of bartenders and service people and everyone there.
I love that.
It's really on top of their shit.
I love the food there too.
Food's
There's something
amazing
about that place where it's like, I want to get dirty with a sandwich, but I also want to drink some high class mezcal.
Yeah,
it's crazy that you have that kind of interesting parity between the spirit selection and that massively long bar, but you have the food's really good too.
It's great.
When did you start over there?
Been there now for about a month now.
Oh, cool. And do you feel like you're getting your wings again, like that you're getting?
I'm in a different mindset now. Going from running the place and developing stuff and being this to just getting behind the bar and just fucking cranking out drinks and being in that mode again. I haven't been in that mode since before I was in the Air Force, and I was slinging drinks like in El Paso at a really high paced bar. But back then it was different than it is now. But
well, especially at the Esquire, you got great drinks.
Or it brings me back to even being in the kitchen and working and just pumping out food and just being in that zone where you're on the brink of chaos. And
do you like the hospitality element of it, like helping people?
Oh yeah, I definitely love it. Yeah, and but I don't say that I'm missing that because I was definitely doing that at Esquire for sure. I was always out making sure that people are having a great time. They're learning. They're enjoying it.
Yeah.
So
it's good, man, and it's been really cool. I thank you so much for your support, and we had, as I recant or regale some people with this story, we made this total incredible journey, talk about heartbreak, business relationships, and people overstepping their boundaries, all these kinds of things, going through divorce. I'm heartbroken over the project, as I'm sure in some sense you are about Muesli. But you were there when we did the first ever, as far as recorded history goes, the first ever Sotol distillation run outside of Mexico. Like the first fucking one.
Oh yeah, it was beautiful. I loved it. It was
a lot of sit and wait and watch the paint dry, but it like you were there for that moment that for me was very, very monumental. It was the culmination of a year of work, ups and downs, all these kinds of weird smells staining my hands.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine the amount of work you put into that.
Dude, it was insane, and it's I think it's wonderful because you meet people in this industry in any capacity, whether they are a brand ambassador, whether they're a bartender, barback, distiller, whatever, right? And every now and again, you'll meet somebody like, we just mesh and we just get it. And it became really clear to me early on, like we'd always talk, like until I died. We'd always keep in touch, And it's been, you have a really fucking cool story, man. And I'm glad to hear that you were able to fix the pop filter that I couldn't fix on that fucking mic. It's great to know that you can appreciate the music end of things, the compositional element of both music, food, and thirdly, cocktails. It's been really, really cool getting to know you. And
thank you.
We are nowhere near seeing where you're going to end up in this whole thing. I think that you are going to be influential. I think that your intelligence and insight with food and cocktails is going to fucking shake things up. It's just a matter of time, man, before you have your own place. I know it. So
yeah, we'll be back.
I think so. I really, really do. So thanks so much for sharing the Stag, the 2013 Stag.
Oh, of course. Thank you for bringing yours and inviting me out here. It's really an honor and it's really a pleasure to be here with you.
Dude, the pleasure is all mine. Coming out to San Antonio. This is like the first road show, if you will, of the podcast. I'm just gonna say I have a show now. I mentioned this before.
Oh yeah, I think you're 24 in,
dude. I've got like 40, but nobody. Oh, yeah, there's a lot.
Yeah, you definitely got a show going.
There's a fucking show going on. But it's been amazing to come to San Antonio, fucking hang out at the Brooklynite. Jared was so gracious and letting us sit here and hang out. Any
this is actually where I first met you.
That's right. Yeah, at the
your Genius Gin release.
The release party. Yeah, there's lots of good memories here at the Brooklynite with how I feel about.
Yeah, I love this place.
San Antonio. Really,
it's always. I hope that it'll always be a mainstay here. It'll always be an icon. You know.
I think so.
The way that some of the earlier ones have been.
Yeah.
So
Esquire will always be around. I think the Brooklynite will always be around. These are the pillars of the San Antonio cocktail scene. One last question for you. Are you doing anything for the cocktail conference? Going or partying or talking?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go to a few seminars. But, for the most part, Esquire is going to be pretty crazy. It's going to be really busy.
Gonna be
so, I mean, just working and keeping things going.
Well, good, man. Please keep at it. Keep on keeping on, as they say. And thanks so much for chatting with me, Jesse.
Thank you.
Well, there we have it. Another wonderful conversation, this time with Jesse Torres of the Esquire Tavern in San Antonio. We share a lot in common, not only the music production piece, of which you didn't see, but he helped me get my pop filter on straight because it kept drooping like a limp noodle. But besides that, we both understand and have been through a little bit of heartbreak because you never know who you're getting into business with, and you never know who you're getting into bed with when you work on a project until the project finally sees some dollar signs. So, keep that in mind. It's all fine until the dollar sign. So thanks again, everybody, for listening to Show to V with Mike G. I hope you are enjoying the show. We've got a bunch of great interviews coming up. The Bar Institute registration started today. I can't wait to see you there in Austin, June 12th through June 14th. But no matter what you're doing, correcting a pop filter, talking about 9 Inch Nails, or skipping school, please keep dancing.